Racing at Le Mans is an experience that's unique unto itself. There's a certain ambiance in the air around Le Mans. Not only do we have the best cars in the world, we've got the best drivers in the world, the best teams in the world. There's just a certain something in the air. And that something is unlike anything that I've ever felt at any other race, any other time in my career. Even though I can hear it all going on out there, there's a certain loneliness that's almost overwhelming. It blots out in my mind the fact that I'm here with Doc, who's an excellent co-driver. Even blots out in my mind the fact that we're here with two cars running on CompTA street tires when all the other teams are on racing tires. When I walked out of the pit enclosure and looked across the way and saw 3 tiers of people in the main grandstand on the pit straight, that was more than I could comprehend. It was Indianapolis and every other major race and sporting event that you've ever seen in America put together. It's impossible to describe, and I was just in awe of this entire experience. But now I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know if I can handle the experience itself. The race didn't bother me. I didn't know if I could emotionally handle the experience. And I've never had that experience in racing before. It's usually sort of a high, an adrenaline flow. Come on, let's go. And it's a nervous feeling, but it's a good, powerful nervous feeling. We'll spend the first hour sorting our car while all these other crazy men go out and try to win a sprint race, which is generally what happens at Le Mans, particularly toward the back of the grid. Either they've never been here before, or they have been here before and never finished, so they know the reality is that they want to make a really good showing until they fall out. At Le Mans, it was not, and I don't believe that it ever will be, a sort of an adrenaline flow, let's get racing feeling. It's almost sick to your stomach because you're participating in something that you can hardly believe is even happening. Goodrich's commitment to this program is evidenced by the fact that both cars were shipped to the Weissach test facility at Porsche for race preparation. Le Mans is a race that's probably 90% preparation and 10% racing. The test session at Weissach is important not only for the preparation of the cars, but I think it put one driver in both cars with one crew so that we could sort the cars out before we left for the race. Any additional feedback that we got from the other drivers would easily then be sorted out at the racetrack. Right. So it isn't always exactly the same RPM, but I would say that it doesn't get any boost to really talk about till it hits 6. This particular circuit is what you would call almost a go-kart circuit. It's a very narrow, twisty little circuit. It'll bring out all the bad points of the car immediately, whereas on a longer track at Le Mans, we might not notice it till halfway through the race. If I could do this before every single race, it would be worth it.
Demandez la liste des engagés.
John Busby et Paul Miller sont des fidèles des 24 heures du Mans, pilotes américains, associés au Français Marcel Millot, qui est pilote instructeur à l'école de pilotage du circuit Bugatti. La deuxième Porsche 924 de l'équipe Goodrich à Doc Bundy, Manfred Shorty et Patrick Bédard comme équipage prévu.
Imagine yourself going down the freeway at 220 miles an hour in a traffic jam. That's what the straight at Le Mans resembles. It's easy to terrify me on the highways, just as easy as it is anybody else out there. But in a racing situation, you move into a consciousness that blocks that out completely. And you become capable of operating at these very, very high speeds and making decisions and thoughts that almost come through in very slow motion. The idea of somebody else making a mistake at 200 miles an hour is not particularly pleasing to me. It is a challenge that I'll accept simply because it's part of the race. And at Le Mans, those sorts of speeds are the race. I'm not sure that it's absolutely necessary either, except that it does make us unusual people that we're willing to do it. And maybe that's the excitement of Le Mans. Corner and been passed by a Camaro with a wing on it. Can you check out who that is?
That is number 80. Belton now, Paul. Now.
The track here at Le Mans is in a constant state of change. We qualify at night during the last session, and then the race begins during the day. This makes it absolutely mandatory that during pit stops, all drivers pass on as much information as possible.
Be careful on the main straightaway because it's walking like this, and it's windier out there than it was last night. So just bring it up slowly.
At this point in the race, everything looks almost too good to be true. Both cars are still in. We're second in class, I believe about a lap ahead of the other car. But this is Le Mans, and you just never know.
Beautiful. Perfect. The handlers are on the money. Yeah. Temperatures are perfect. Everything looks great.
Really easy pace. Should go all night like that. I remember leaving the pits, going up under the bridge, the Dunlop Bridge, down the hill, and making a left, and my God, the whole sky lit up. There was a terrific Ferris wheel out there, and a fair, and things happening, and people running around, and it gave the impression almost of coming out of a dark tunnel into Disneyland, and the flashing lights, and then immediately a right turn, and it all vanishes. It was a cross between 2001 Space Odyssey and Walt Disney, all in a capsule of about a second and a half. And you do it lap after lap after lap. And if I live to be 1,000, I'll never forget that one.